Hey, it's Pharaoh. I want to say thanks to everyone who watched my first video because it ended up coming out way better than I thought it would. And a special thanks to Batmeme for recommending that I check out Shadow House, as well as giving me a little motivation to make more videos. So with that being said, I want to explore Shadow House. It's a manga that I feel like if you enjoyed The Promised Neverland, you'll definitely like this as they share a lot of things that make both of them great in common. After Batmeme's recommendation, I went to go check it out, and I got to reading it all the way up to the most recent chapters, which is about 90 chapters, which to me really isn't that bad. But there is one thing that's different from your typical manga that stood out to me immediately with this one. This whole manga is in color rather than the typical black and white that you might read. But this didn't stop me from reading it, obviously. It's just something I wanted to point out. Shadow House is essentially about beings known as shadows that are seen as royal and live in a big manor that is divided up into 3 distinct layers, of great-grandfather being at the top, adults, and then children. It was said that the great-grandfather is the one who started the whole thing, so he's seen as the king of the family. Shadows look exactly like humans, but are pitch black, so you can't see anything on their faces like facial expressions. And they are accompanied by beings known as living dolls, which look exactly like the shadows they are assigned to, but they aren't pitch black like the shadows. They look more human-like. They serve as a reflection of the shadows since the living dolls' facial expressions can be seen. And the role of the living dolls is to be the maids to the shadows that they are assigned to and clean up the smoke that they give off, which is known as soot. The soot only happens though when they are having negative emotions or they are sleeping. It's funny how the author flipped the concept of shadows and people around, which makes for an interesting take. Something else that's funny is that shadows always refer to themselves in the third person, which is an interesting way to group the characters, but I kind of like how it gives some scenes more energy. But overall, like lots of animes, there's a testing arc, like the Chunin exams from Naruto. In this world, though, it's known as the debut, and this is where the children are tested to see if the shadows and the living doll pairs are compatible, and this is how they can make their way up the ranks. There's a lot more to the story of Shadow House, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll leave it there and hope that you check it out for yourselves. It's kind of interesting, though, to think that a manga like this isn't as popular as The Promised Neverland, considering that they share a lot of similarities, but it's not in a way that's like ripping off The Promised Neverland, just that it has qualities that people who like one could definitely like both. Also, being that this manga is in color, I really like how it looks, with all the colors having a purpose, not making it hard to enjoy, and the art style to me is also really nice in general. The author also does a great job at making characters likable through character development, so if you don't like them when you first meet them, that could change. But there's also those characters that you might not like for a purpose, rather than just being a character that no one likes just because they're badly written. I feel like the author wrote the characters in a way for a purpose that makes them more nuanced rather than black and white. Because to me, a nuanced character is better than a black and white character since you get to know them better and the reasons why they do what they do. There's also a lot of things that happen that you might not have expected to happen, which is nice to be in the dark sometimes, so the story isn't too predictable. The story is more interesting the more you read it, which is really good, and is why I ended up reading it in just a couple of days. So I definitely would recommend that you go check it out. And also something that I just found out while I was reading it is that there's actually an anime that's coming out this year for Shadow House. So hopefully they do what Promised Neverland did in its first season, which was amazing. And I hope they don't skimp out on any good voice actors. I hope they have quality voice actors so that the performances don't feel flat or anything like that. As well as I hope they stick to the source material and don't change anything drastically, because when animes change from the source material, most of the time, especially something that's really liked, it just makes it worse, which definitely is what happened in season 2 of The Promised Neverland. So if they stick to the source material, they definitely have a great series on their hands. I just want to say thanks again for all the people that checked out the first video, and if you have any recommendations for manga or anything like that, just leave it down in the comments below and I'll definitely check it out. If I enjoy it, then I'll probably make a video on it. As well as like and subscribe, because I definitely have more content that I want to push out, as well as videos on this manga itself. I definitely plan on making more videos on more mainstream mangas as well, like My Hero Academia and stuff like Fire Force and other stuff like that. But if you have anything that's low-key, just put in the comments below and I'll check it out. So like and subscribe and come back for more content. Have a great day.